Talking about trading and cross-border trading, Kartik, there is something else important happening when it comes to cross-border trades. Away from rice, which is a cash crop, let's talk about the biggest cash crop in the world. It's called crude oil. And India has been the largest consumer of Russian crude oil ever since the Ukraine war began. The only problem is that India is not able to get some of its assets in Russia, money of India stuck in Russia back to India because Russia is out of the SWIFT global financial system. And there has been issues about bringing Indian money back. And now, the latest we understand, you've been telling me about this as well, there are efforts made to iron out the rupee trade settlements between India and Russia. Now, I know for a fact that there is money stuck that we can't bring it back. That's one end of the issue. But whether that's money stuck or not, India has been pushing for rupee trade settlements with not just Russia, but across a range of countries. Talk to us about what's happening with Russia specifically speaking.
Okay, it's actually a little more complex than that, Krishna, and it's not as much about our money being stuck in Russia than Russian money, ruble stuck in India, which Russia is not able to take back. They're saying, hey, what am I going to do with, if I'm unable to convert that money into dollar and if I'm not part of the SWIFT code, then how do I get my money back? So that is actually at the crux of the problem. Now, let's go back a little. And ever since the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, we have seen Western sanctions on Russia. And hence, dollar is nothing more than a piece of paper that Russia can pretty much make aeroplanes out of and fly because it doesn't have any value for US dollars. It can't convert it back into rubles.
Right.
So what Russia started doing, and which India also grudgingly agreed to, was to settle trade bills with Russia in the yuan. So India has actually been buying yuan to transfer yuan to Russia, bypassing the Western sanctions and the SWIFT requirements by actually settling trade in yuan. And that is something that has hurt India, obviously, economically and nationalistically. So, and for other reasons as well, more sort of macroeconomic reasons, India wants to settle trade with any country in INR. And Russia, of course, being a large country which exported its oil to India, and India bought it dirt cheap, oil cheap actually, has now landed up in a situation where about $43 billion worth of trade deficit with Russia is now stuck in India. So what did Indian government do? India actually has something called a Vostro account. What is a Vostro account? Any foreign entity can own an INR account with a bank in India. That's called a Vostro account. Now, what you can do is you cannot repatriate the funds back to your home country, but using that Vostro account, you can actually cater to other business interests you have in the country with the money in that bank account. So, $43 billion are stuck in Vostro account of Russia in India, which Russia wants to repatriate back, but is unable to because of the sanctions, and has actually invested about $10 to $12 billion of that into Indian bonds, the government bonds, so government securities. So overall for India, it's a good story that you have $43 billion worth of Russian trade deficit here in India, which is used for other economic activity within India. But the problem is for Russia, because Russia is unable to convert that money back into rubles and transfer it back home. And in the same light, India is pushing for rupee trade settlement so that this problem of rubles or dollar equivalent rubles being stuck in India does not arise, and all this $43 billion can actually just become rupee, which India can then use as rupee rather than any conversion or any sort of forex fluctuations being subjected to.